there is no way around it, because we know that the only reason the guy in the White House got there is because he spoke to the grievance of white America without any track record of delivering anything, without being impactful in any constructive way. They still voted white. And so we do have that in our back pocket to see, look, y'all see what y'all did with this guy. You see, it didn't work out the first time, and it even worse the second time.
Good evening, my brother. How you doing today?
Rodney, I'm doing swell, man. Look, just glad to be on another episode of the Roundup with Rodney and Rodney. Yes, sir. Can't wait to get started. I know you did some work on this particular episode to get us to get us ready to close out the year and to get us ready for a new year. And what better person to have on than a guy who get his hands dirty, an actual farmer, who's also understand the political aspect of things.
Yes, sir.
I don't know how often you get those two things in one pot, but hey, we got him here tonight, so I can't wait for you to bring this brother on. Man. So absolutely, Rodney, and I can't also wait until your hot topic. I know we're going to talk a little bit about the SCOTUS giving the green light to Texas on that GOP-friendly map in 2026 that they have. And for our whole spotlight, we have a House Democrat that announced articles of impeachment for Mr. Secretary of... No, I'm not going to say it, Rodney.
Come on now.
I almost got you. Secretary of Defense, Mr. Hetzip. But anyway, Rodney, without further ado, man, let's get this thing started, brother.
Well, it's my pleasure to introduce this young fella. We wanted to have a show, Rodney B, at the end of the year after some of these elections were over, to get somebody's independent view who watches this from the micro perspective. I couldn't pick a better person than Rodney King Adams. We got another Rodney tonight. He was born in Greensboro, North Carolina. He moved to Atlanta when he was 1 year old with a single mother. He grew up and was educated in the Southwest Atlanta area, elementary school, and college, Morehouse College. He is a veteran, father, and grandfather, as well as an urban farmer and a brilliant political consultant. Faith, family, and food guide and direct his life. Welcome, Rodney K. Adams, Mr. King Adams.
Hey, man, thank you so much. That was a great introduction, man. Thank you so much.
Oh, I know you're going to live up to it.
Talking about.
I know. I'm talking about you, bro. So tell us a little bit about yourself. You moved here to Atlanta, and what got you motivated to get involved in farming and then politics? Talk to me.
So I was on Facebook about in the early days of it, and came across, I had a friend who was the secretary for the Georgia chapter of SELC. And then she introduced me to the guy who was the president at the time, named Sam Mosteller. And man, on the basis of my Facebook posts and comments I made, they were like, this guy need to get in the game. And I came in kicking and screaming. But of course, growing up in Atlanta, man, I've always been affiliated in politics, just through my parents, my mother. So it wasn't a heavy lift. When I went into the rooms, people already knew me. So
gotcha.
And so from then on, it's been on, man. And I just been, trying to be more engaged in the way and making sure that we get people. You ain't got to be from Atlanta, but you got to be for Atlanta. And so
all right.
Making sure we get those kinds of people in seats, man, it's been a point of emphasis for me.
Understand.
And then on the farming side, it was crazy because I wanted to put a garden in my high school. Reached out to my cousin who's a master gardener. And he said, man, that's landscaping.
Oh,
so right. Little did I know. So he introduced me to a guy named Farmer P. That was about 10 years ago. And since then, man, Farmer P, I fixed something on his farm. He said, man, you handy? I said, yeah. He said, well, if you fix stuff for me, I'll teach you how to grow. Nice. And from there, the bartering happened, and we became partners, man. And to this day, he and I are still thick as thieves, man.
Nice, bro. Nice. So now, what was your perspective coming into 2025 after the 2024 elections? What did you expect to happen based upon this new administration in Washington, and how does that affect what we do locally for Black folk?
Well, of course, man, after the beginning of the year when they start laying off all those peoples and actually creating a bit of a financial crisis in our community, particularly, I knew it was going to be a panic. And then it also was going to have an impact on voters where they become not disenfranchised, but disheartened with the whole process. Because, people voted and they were excited about the premise of having a black woman president. And so when that didn't pan out and this guy got in and came in being more destructive and disruptive than he was the first time around, I knew it was going to be a heavy lift to get turnout this time around. And so that's what ended up happening. We had low turnout. We did get a little bump from the PSC race, which was good in the first round, but then everything leveled back to low numbers in the runoffs.
So what do you think caused that?
I think locally, man, a lot of these races didn't have the voters didn't have anything to vote for, and so a lot of campaigns have I noticed are starting to focus on what why you shouldn't vote for the other guy, as opposed to what I can do as a candidate. What can I do better or different than the other guys? Why you shouldn't vote for that guy? So that negative energy it doesn't resonate well with voters. Obama drove all these people out with hope and change, bro. I mean, the premise of hope gave us record numbers at the poll, and so we got to circle back to that and actually be able to deliver. I told people, I said, I don't think he's gonna be able to change much from his position, but just to have the audacity of hope was enough. We got to have some. And find that sweet spot, find that balance between being hopeful and being impactful at the same time.
Yeah, voting for something, Rodney, than against something. That's what it sounds
absolutely.
like. Yeah.
It's very interesting. That's a good way to look at it. So tell me what your thoughts are on the current climate after this current year's elections.
Well, man, we're gonna have a heavy lift next year to get people inspired and motivated for this midterm. But if we can get them out, man, we can really, really change some things. Stop a lot of the foolishness that's going on in Washington. And then in the state of Georgia, we can pivot and probably pick up some seats because of a lot of these people are looking for an off-ramp for that decision they made last year. So if we can, legitimately find some great candidates at the state level to step in and step up, hey man, we can really we might be able to make Georgia a little bluer. I don't know if we can make it blue, but we can make it a little bluer where we can have somewhat larger footprint in our state legislature, man.
Gotcha. Well, now that you've segued into the elections, midterms, there's some elections, statewide elections that you alluded to coming up next year. One of the things we've talked about, Rodney B and Rodney A, the policy in the state of Georgia with this nonpartisan races on the municipal level, and then you see, for example, in Sandy Springs, the former state Republican chair, incumbent mayor, pulled in all of the heavyweights from the Republican Party to crush the Democratic candidate Dante Carter. But yet they claim it's a nonpartisan election. So by doing that, they don't permit you to enroll in a party in Georgia. It's an open primary system. So that means today I could say I'm a Democrat. Tomorrow I could say I'm a Republican. Go caucus at the state house. I leave the Democratic caucus and walk over and caucus with the Republicans. But nothing changes at the Elections Bureau saying that I've changed my enrollment. Segue to Jeff Duncan, former lieutenant governor, who is now running as a Democrat for governor. And all the folks that had jumped in the race before he showed up. Right. They looked a lot like the folks on this podcast. So tell me what your thoughts are about that, and how do you think the voters are going to deal with that?
So the crazy thing is, man, a lot of people I think have gotten into that race for the governor's race, man, and trying to make it a popularity contest. And that's going to split that vote. And I think Duncan legitimately could siphon off, bring in some Republicans and some fence sitters, some people who some of the undecideds, some independents, whatever. He can draw some of those to his side. The key is going to be for us to drive our base out, man, and really legitimately do voter mobilization. We got to move past voter registration and get voter mobilization, man. Get the people who are already registered engaged, and listen, man, get off the bench, get in the game. And if we can do that, and I'm optimistic that we can, particularly in Fulton County, if we can do that, we can leverage. We might be able to push back and leverage his ascension. Because I'm a little skeptical, but I'm just one vote. So if he ends up being the guy, we just got to make sure we have enough cachet with him in his camp to make sure he keeps his eye on the ball with regard to the things we think are important.
Interesting. Well, you know that the caucuses in the House and the state Senate are majority African American members,
Right.
because a whole lot of folks who were Democrats that are now melanated switched over to the Republican Party back in the day and left us as a quote ethnic party. So how do we get out of that? Because if we run a whole statewide ticket and it's only African Americans on it, how are we expected to win statewide office?
That is a serious question, Rodney.
Come on, you the political guru. Talk to me, bro.
Listen, man. The toughest thing to do is tell someone with political aspirations to sit back and wait this one out.
Right.
So without a real grand poobah in the party who can actually do those kinds of things, we're gonna be stuck with this Scrabble mix of of candidates, man, and have to sort through them and pick through. But that all black slate statewide, man, is a very, very heavy lift. With the only person being Ossoff, and so and I know and like many of the candidates, man. I think Tanya Miller for AG is a great, perfect fit.
Awesome, yeah.
I think Judge Penny is a good fit for Secretary of State.
Right.
So if we can get the state to vote our hopes and not their fears, we might be able to get some things done at the statewide level, particularly because again we're talking about two, not just two, but several. I mean, even Michael Thurman is a trusted entity with a good track record.
Right.
So we can get the voters to move past the color and all of that and say, well, listen, man, these people are actually viable and qualified and legitimate. We might be able to move the needle. Now, how does that work statewide? I mean, shoot, man, Warnock won. So we have some idea about. Of course, Warnock ran against terrible candidates too. So
I was finna say,
but even though he limped across the finish line against Herschel, man,
yes, sir.
I think it was like 1%.
Yes,
it was less than 2% that he won by.
It's close.
So hopefully these the people in the state are disenfranchised and annoyed enough with the way things have been playing out so far this year that they're willing to take a gamble on some already proven people who can deliver and look out for the state's best interests. I'm hopeful, man.
Their melanation.
Yeah, I mean,
bro, we're still in Georgia.
Yeah. It's sad that we're at this point, man, in 2025 where we actually have to point out the fact that the slate may be majority black and that could be problematic.
Exactly.
And there is no way around it, because we know that the only reason the guy in the White House got there is because he spoke to the grievance of white America.
And supremacy.
Without any track record of delivering anything, without being impactful in any constructive way, they still voted white. And so we do have that in our back pocket to see, look, y'all see what y'all did with this guy. You see, it didn't work out the first time, and it even worse the second time, and when you juxtapose that with what happened with Obama, his 2 terms, I mean, we got ACA out of that. So, it's we have some real world examples, man, to hold up to the voters who may be inclined to just look at color, and hopefully we can push that agenda, push that platform, and push these platforms in a way to get people to just vote their interests and not their fears, man. That's it.
Well, but yeah, I hear you. So we're looking at some changes as a result of all these statewide office announcements. We're going to lose some folks in the House and the Senate. My state Senate is running for governor. There's a special election going on now to fill Senate District 35 seat. The runoff is now. Early voting is this week. So tell me, what do you think the impact might be on our ability to navigate under the Gold Dome if we lose all of these seats?
Well, if we lose experience, man, it just means it sets back what is essentially a midterm year for this in our state legislature. So we lose the experience, and we got to bring somebody in fresh and new and bring them up to speed. That could be problematic because because they don't have the relationships. They understand the lay of the land. They don't know where the bathroom is, so
to speak. Right.
Like literally. Shoot.
Literally, right.
I've been in the Gold Dome several times, man, and even I get turned around sometimes, look for the men's room. So
yeah, the best was wing yard. The best was wing yard, right? I got you. So tell me. Go ahead,
man.
No, you finish up.
Well, so if we can, get experience in, we can probably get some of those bills that didn't make it all the way through. Some things done, because I believe we're in a place where the state is looking for something better and different. And so if we started with this legislative session going into next year's midterms, man, we can probably give ourselves a foundation to build on, man.
Gotcha. Rodney B, do you have any questions for my brother?
I think I do. What I want to ask you, Rodney Adams, is it's first of all, it's great having, like I said, someone who knows how to get their hands dirty, but all at the same time understand everything that's going on, or at least most things that's going on, under the Gold Dome, under the white buildings in DC. So that's great to have, because I think people can definitely relate to that a little bit better. Because a lot of times when we have people on the round table, on the Roundup, they're already in the political game like that. They're already elected officials, or they're running for something. And not to say that people can't relate to them. So I'm just letting you know it's refreshing also to have it, especially at the end of the year. We've had a couple at the beginning of the year, but at the end of the year, it's refreshing to have you on, for that reason, of course, many others. But my thing is your association. So we know that a lot of farmland over the past, ever since basically, the late 1800s and early 1900s has been taken away from, from black people, from black farmers. Our percentages have gone down as far as black farmers a lot. So that lets me know that, or at least I'm thinking that you probably get an opportunity to work and talk with a lot of non-melanated farmers, right? Not a lot of white farmers. And I would just like to get your perspective on what are they currently thinking, assuming we are in Georgia. And I know you may even talk to farmers out of state, but assuming that many of them voted for Trump, if you listen to the talking heads, you listen to the polls and all of that stuff, where do you think they're at? Where are their head at, Rodney?
So let me give you some context, Rodney. I am an urban farmer. So I operate primarily in the local space.
Gotcha.
I do have some relationships and interactions in the rural spaces, but not a whole lot.
Okay.
My point of emphasis is addressing food insecurity in our communities, and so I tend to lean heavily on figuring out ways to create, foodscapes and places to be able to get fresh fruits and vegetables in our communities that are underserved. Every community south of 20 is a food desert.
Gotcha. Yep.
And so from that lens that I see farming, which is not necessarily on the scale that you're saying, that you're talking about. I try to keep it my whole premise, everything is local, man. Everything starts local. So if I can grow me some collard greens in my backyard and show my neighbor how to grow some in his, and show the kids at the school how to grow some for themselves. You know, that's my lens and my focal point. I have some aspirations of maybe getting a few acres, 10, maybe about 10 acres and doing something on, but for the most part, man, I stay in the urban community. So I couldn't speak intelligently about, what's going on outside of 285 with regard to farm space.
Gotcha. Okay, well, look, let me just redo that question then, and but I know that a lot of our viewers, because I know if I was watching this podcast, I would be like, because farmer is farmer. You don't think about the urban farmer like that, but thank God you're doing that work, brother. It is some very needed work.
We're doing our best with it, man, for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then you're teaching, so we got to get back to these green thumbs, man. That we taught everybody else how to survive off of this planet, off of this earth. Now it's time to get back to bringing that back home to ourselves. Well, let me ask you this: I'm assuming then that you do get to talk to some other urban farmers, people who are doing it in the city limits like that. Are most of them ideology wise where you are as far as the political spectrum and what's happening politically, or is there quite a bit of differences?
Yeah, man, I'm to your point earlier after the introduction, I'm probably in a very unique space where I'm able to navigate between the political sphere and farm space. Okay. And so it's good because I'm able to especially at the state and local levels bring attention to it in a meaningful way, and then leverage some of my connections to bring them and connect. So one of the my partners that I work with very closely is young Kendall Ray Johnson, the youngest farmer in the country, and I've been working with her and her family for the last 3 years. Cool. Since after her second year of farming is when we connected, and so I work very closely with them, man, and teaching the children how to grow and having events and spaces, and removing the shame of farming that's associated with slavery.
Good point.
And I always have to tell people, particularly young people, that the slaves were really good at working in the fields because that was what they did in Africa. There was no grocery stores. There was
they knew what they were doing
in Africa in the 1700s. So we automatically knew how to grow food, and so it became advantageous for the slaveholders, but it was actually probably therapeutic for us to be communing in some form of fashion with the earth itself, which we knew was tied to home.
Yes.
So getting people to understand that farming don't have anything to do with slavery. We were farmers already.
Thank you. Well said.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
All right. So to wrap it up, Rodney, my questioning is, well, first of all, we understood how to not turn soil to sand. We knew how to keep cultivating that soil so we can use it, and we knew not to abuse the soil. And then you just got a bunch of non-nutrient sand on your hand, if you will, that can't grow anything. So I'm not a farmer, but I know that much, and I understood that our people understood how Mother Nature and how the earth works. So just for our audience, Rodney, what I'm hearing you say basically is that as far as when it comes down to the urban, the urban farmer, is you're unique. You out there, you got your green thumb, you're getting your hands dirty, you're feeding people, you're feeding your family, and you also understand, politics and what's happening in the political spectrum of the, of the country, of the state. But however, your urban farmer counterparts, they're not really into the whole political thing. Just like I said, just because I want for our audience to understand that this is a, and I want for all of the people who have political aspirations that watches this show, that's been on this show, they know they're a part of the Black Man's Roundtable family. So we know that they watch. And the message I'm hearing you sending those as special elected officials is that that's another constituency out there that is urban farming, who are not into it, who are not wrapped into it like you are, and maybe they need to go out there and talk to those people, is what I'm hearing.
Man, Rodney, absolutely. It's not sexy right now But every once in a while we'll get some photo ops, people coming out. I don't take pictures of what I do. One of my good friends, Mario Clark, Rodney know Mario. I'll be talking about something I'm doing, and one day he asked me, man, he said, "Man, who knows about all this wonderful shit you doing?" And I said, "Listen, bro, God knows. I know. The people with whom I'm working know. So I'm not in it for the hype and the clicks and the likes, man. I'm actually in it. It's actually a form of ministry and community building, for me, and so." It's through that lens that I do it, and I tell people I don't do it for money. I just don't do it for free. So
Heard that.
Same thing with political consulting.
same thing with political stuff. Absolutely, I don't do it for money, but I don't do it for free. But it's because there's been a lot of sweat, equity, and effort, energy, and reading and studying, trial and error that's gone into me having this knowledge base that I have to just throw it away to somebody who may not really fully appreciate it. And there's a difference between being needed and being appreciated.
Gotcha.
Thank you for that, sir. Thank you.
All right. Well, in wrapping up, give me a little bit of your perspective on Black politics on the local level in our region.
Whew. So, man, listen, we get a lot of people in who are posers, and they come in. They have no idea what the role does. They have no idea. Like, they don't do any homework. They don't understand what the issues are in the communities. I saw several people in land and runoffs in these local elections, man, that really were clueless and were, I say, overly dependent on trying to capitalize on voter aggravation and voter fatigue. And so we have to really weed out these people who are just in it for themselves and not really engaged at a community level, knowing how to speak to the community in a meaningful way, knowing what the issues are, knowing what the job is. I saw somebody walking through a grocery store in a local saying, "This is why I'm running." Well, you can't do about what they serving in the grocery store, particularly a Publix or Kroger. They don't. You have zero inroads to those people. So so thinking that you're gonna run for office and affect the quality of produce that they putting in the Publix in your community, that's not what you're there for. So figure out what you're really there for, so you can speak to that, and then use that as a litmus test to determine whether or not you should even, or if you even want to run.
Right.
So, man, so that part is frustrating, because of course anybody can run, but should you? Just because you can, don't mean you should.
Good point. Should you?
Yeah, should you, man? That's
yeah. And the voters, do you think they have enough time to vet these candidates to understand who they are?
Man, the 90-day voting window, I think that's the science of it. It's a matter of also hiring a team that can actually help you create a message that speaks to the issues and give the voters something to vote for. So that's where that's where you got to really build your squad out in a proper fashion, man. So the voters, sometimes they get it wrong. We've seen it. Yes. And the word around the campfire is that a local mayor in the metro area is a Trumper and ended up getting elected. So we'll see how that plays out. Because the thing about Georgia, man, that's so unique is, I think the standard is like 75% of the registered voters have to vote in a recall. So it's damn near impossible, because 75% of the voters don't even participate. We're in the 20s and 30% participation. Somebody gets in, they're there for the duration, aside from death or resignation.
Yeah, so the recall election is something in which you can vote them out. That's what you're talking about. Okay, recall election.
But the standard, the bar is so high in Georgia.
So high, yeah. Right.
Yeah, so once they're in, you holding the bag, waiting for them. And we've seen that in a couple mayoral spots, locally.
No lie.
Listen,
tell
man,
me, Rodney, how can folks... Go ahead.
Now, man, I'm trying to make sure I name names and make people
No, I
mad.
didn't ask you to name names, bro.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to make sure
the
I
guilty
don't.
shall remain.
Yeah.
The guilty shall remain unknown.
I don't want to be fighting. Y'all be on the news Thursday fighting.
I know that's right. Well, listen, man, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This was very informative.
Yes,
I've had an opportunity to see you in several different rooms in the past, and I thought you'd be a great guest to educate our folks about what's going on. So let folks know how they can reach you if they want to talk to you about politics or farming, urban farming.
Man, I'm on social media, Rodney K Adams. You can hit me up there. You can find me. I ain't put my number out there, but look, hey man,
don't
I
put your
tell
number.
people,
No.
look,
Are
ask
you on
somebody
LinkedIn?
that know me, and
Are you
they'll
on
tell you how to
LinkedIn?
get in touch with. But you can definitely catch me up on IG
Right. That's what I'm asking.
and Facebook. Rodney K Adams is my name on Facebook.
That's what I was asking. Yeah.
Sweet Daddy or Smooth is my name on IG.
Uh-oh.
It's a long story.
Wait a minute. Repeat that for the people in the back of the room.
So one of my daughters, man, my middle daughter, when she was little, I used to say, "I love you, sweet baby," and she would say, "I love you, sweet daddy."
Okay.
And so one day, she was at school, and I said, "Hey, sweet baby." She said, "Hey, sweet daddy," and the teachers went crazy. "Sweet daddy, oh my goodness!" And so as I was building out my Instagram page, man, everything I tried was already taken with regard to Rod or Rodney and
Okay.
my
Okay.
initials and everything. So I said, "I bet sweet daddy in there." They said, "Daddy, you ain't gonna put that in there." I said,
Yes, he
"Why?"
is.
And so,
All right.
All right.
Awesome, man. Awesome. We wish you the best in 2026. Thank you again for joining
Absolutely.
us.
hey,
And
brother,
I'm
I'm
sure we'll
honored
see you
to be
again.
amongst you brothers, man. I listen to you guys uh, on a regular basis. I just was listening to last week's about the lawful order and all that. As a
Yes,
veteran,
sir.
it resonated with me. I said, man, that's real talk. And these guys who don't understand that, they know. It's not like they don't know, man. It's ingrained in them from indoctrination and orientation. But sometimes I think the lure of power or perception of power
Mm-hmm.
goes to their head,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
they get dealt with in that court martial though.
Ooh, we know something coming.
Hopefully, Rodney, one of the other places that people can catch you is right here on the
That's
Black
right.
Man's Roundtable. Because what I'm hoping, look, brother, you got the trifecta. I mean,
Yes,
you
sir.
are a urban farmer, and God knows we need all of your knowledge on that. You are a political consultant, and you're a veteran. So listen, we definitely, I'm sure Rodney going to find a space to fit you back in here.
Yeah,
And so
man.
hopefully one of the places that you will say you can catch me on the Black Man's Roundtable because
Hey man,
Triple action.
yes,
hey
sir.
man, I would love it, man. I enjoy you guys so much, man. Rodney's my OG, man, and so I love talking to him and bouncing off ideas because he's I tell people he if you know the story about the young bull and the old bull, he's the old bull and I'm more of a young bull, and so he really keeps me grounded and make sure that I'm more measured in some of the things because my personality is a little aggressive. It can
Yeah.
be. And
Yeah.
so, so having that voice of reason and that seasoned perspective that Rodney gives, man, I love it. I
Hey,
appreciate him for
he
it,
does
man.
the same. He does the same thing for us, brother.
Yeah,
Right
yeah,
here on the
man.
round table.
Listen, man.
So
He's a local treasure, man.
yes, sir.
He's a
Thank you, bro.
local
Appreciate you,
treasure.
man.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate
Listen.
you, bro. All right. Thank you, sir. I didn't pay him to say that either, Rod.
No, man, no. He ain't me.
All right, Rodney.
All
Look,
right, man. God bless you.
be great, brother.
All
God
right,
Yes,
man.
bless.
sir.
Same to you guys, man.
All right,
Absolutely.
now.
All
Great
righty.
guest, man.
Yeah.
Great guest.
Yeah, he's good, just good. This week, down to earth brothers, man.
Yes.
People just love
Yes.
to hear from those kind of ladies and gentlemen. But hey, like we said, Rodney, the brother is a trifecta, man. And so, but I know that you're going to have him back on. So
Yeah,
I'm looking
definitely.
forward to
We'll do something in
his
the new year.
perspective. Yeah, his
Yes,
perspective
sir.
on things that are happening in our community. So look, right now, I know you have
Ooh, buddy.
your hot topic. I know you have your whole spotlight. Can't wait to get to both of them. So
Yes,
anyway, let
sir.
me just remind the people what the hot topic is about. It's about you're going to talk about the SCOTUS giving Texas the green light for the use of that GOP friendly map in 2006. Now, people say, well, we're in Georgia for the most part because most of our listeners in Georgia. But let me tell you something. If they can do it in Texas, you best believe it's coming to a theater near you. And it's already has come here, but you know what I'm saying. So I'm sure you're going to talk about that a little bit. So Rodney, without further ado, brother, take it away.
I'm looking forward to chopping this one up with you, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Well, as you know, they take the census every 10 years. And then after they take the census, they look at the demographics, and then they create districts based upon communities of interest, ethnic groups, and or geography, So, and then those redistricting maps are supposed to last for 10 years until the next census. But what we found out, Rodney, is there's nothing in the law that says that you cannot redistrict midterm or 5 years in or any time during that period. And what makes it worse, you're not required to use the same guidelines as if you did it during the 10-year period. So that means what I'm saying is that the law is void in this area for some direction, and people are taking advantage of it because they're doing what they want to do. This Texas case, we talked about the Texas redistricting that the president requested that the governor take care of for him. It passed. It was challenged in a court of law, and it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, kept getting appealed up to the Supreme Court. So I have an article from Lauren Irwin. She's a national politics reporter for the Deseret News. She covers national stories of impact from Washington, D.C. And I do this writing because I don't want to be misquoted. I have a lot of respect for this format and this podcast, and I don't want you having to face any issues that are not correct. So that's why I do this. Yep. The Supreme Court rules Texas can use its redrawn map favoring Republicans. This decision gives the green light to use that congressional map that they did that's supposed to be in place for 2026 midterms. They approved it while they permitted it to go on. Republicans currently hold a slim majority, 2020 to 213 in the House of Representatives, and the party concerned about holding that majority following the 2026 midterm elections. As you know, historically, during the first term of a midterm for a 4-year president, usually the party in power loses seats in the House and or Senate during the midterm elections, halfway through his term. Right. Texas' efforts with this new map gives Republicans hope to gain 5 more seats in 2026. Democrats in California looking to counteract the GOP move also redistricted, drawing 5 seats likely to flip Democrat next year. The question is, will those folks in the seats that Texas tried to switch to Republican, how many of those districts are not happy with the current administration and may flip, may not vote for the Republican candidate in the midterms? We don't know. That's the risk that they took. Governor Abbott celebrated the news of the Supreme Court's decision, saying, quote, officially and, quote, legally more red. Officially and legally more red. That was the intent, period. The new maps better align our representation in D.C. with the values of Texas, he said. What are the values of Texas? We're going to find out soon because I just heard that Jasmine Crockett announced to run for the U.S. Senate seat. And she'll be in a primary, I understand, with a state senator, but they tried to redistrict her out of that process. You follow? Sir. That was part of the game plan, was to get her out of her seat. Sir. So she said, fine, take my seat. I'm going to run for the U.S. Senate. That's statewide. So the folks are fighting back, Rodney. The Supreme Court on Thursday acted on an emergency request from Texas, approving the Republican-favored new congressional maps ahead of the 2026 midterms. The justice's order puts a hold on attempts to block the new map from being used in upcoming elections and gives a green light to Texas Republicans whose redistricting efforts worked in their favor. So make a phone call from the boss up top, and you just go to work. That's loyalty to a leader, not to the Constitution. It says, earlier this year, President Donald Trump urged members of the Texas Republican Congressional delegation to seek 5 new seats, 5, very specifically, that could win through redistricting by redrawing the state's congressional map. It was a sign that Trump was looking to not repeat what happened during his first presidency, as we talked about. Democrats flipped House seats majority 2 years into his term. And that's what he doesn't want to happen again. That's what he's up against. Supreme Court on Thursday issued a brief unsigned opinion that granted Texas' request to pause the court ruling that was issued earlier this month stopping the state from moving forward with the new map. So the lower courts stopped it. The Supreme Court put that on hold. They didn't, quote, overturn it. They just froze that, say, no, we're gonna let them use the map based upon, well, the way we see it. We're not gonna let you stop them from using the maps. Damn, it's amazing, bro. A breakdown in the judicial process. The lower court ruling was already on hold after Justice Samuel Alito, who oversees emergency appeals from Texas, temporarily stayed last month to give the justice time to review Texas's request. See, different Supreme Court justices are assigned to certain states, and they can make a decision to put things on hold. They can't make a decision on a ruling on the merits, but they can put it on hold until further discussion. So that's basically what happened. Justice Keegan dissented from the ruling and was joined by other liberal justices Sonia Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown Jackson. They said the map violates the rules around race and redistricting. Okay, so the interesting part of that is what I heard. The argument was we didn't redistrict to draw out melanated districts. We redistricted on a partisan basis because we wanted more Republican-leaning districts. Well, I don't know which is worse. I don't know which is worse. In closing on this, historically, the party that controls the White House will almost always lose ground in the midterm elections in the House of Representatives. In the last 20 or 22 midterm elections, dating back to 1938, Rodney, the president's party has lost ground in the House. The only exceptions were shaped by unusual circumstances, including 9/11, terrorist attacks in New York and D.C., and former President Bill Clinton's impeachment process. I don't understand that, but I guess they felt that was overreach, and they put Democrats in to support them.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the story, bro. I mean, they're looking at possibly losing 40 seats, bro, in the House to Democrats. And several have already stated they're not going to run again. And Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia is stepping down after January 6th, I believe, after she gets her pension tied down. So that's what's happening, Rodney. This is beyond anything I imagined. There are other states that are looking to step up now that this decision has been made. But again, this could backfire. Those 5 seats in Texas, bro, may go blue based upon the way they see the affordability issue, and they see broken promises regarding the Epstein files, and now this new predicament with this Caribbean Sea, South American Sea activities by the Defense Department.
Tell you what, Rodney, when those Republicans in Texas or anywhere for that reason, when they want to find a loophole, they find it. And they found that loophole in Texas. But, this also, to me, like you said, Jasmine Crockett decided, okay, this is what you want to do to my district. I'm going to run statewide for Senate. And I keep hearing, Rodney, the Democrats say a lot that we want a fighter. We want a fighter. We want a fighter. Okay?
Yes.
Listen, you can't get no more of a fighter than Representative Crockett.
No, sir.
So that I always give a side eye, basically, to when the pundits and the polls say that it's all about the kitchen table. It's all about the kitchen table issues. I always give a side eye to that.
Right.
Because, well, Rodney, I don't know what kind of kitchen table some of these folks are sitting at, but I know one thing. They've been sitting at that same kitchen table since about 1964, since the civil rights bill passed, and the voting rights and all of that. So I'm just not sold on that, but whatever. But I want to see, one of the things that I'm really wanting to see is if is how Jasmine Crockett pulls out of this, being that she is the ultimate fighter, ultimate fighter. So I'm definitely wanting to look at that. So yeah.
Yes, sir. So like I said, it could backfire on him.
It could backfire.
Yes, bro. The next,
and I do like the fight that some of what California is doing, some of the other states.
Gavin Newsom,
and some of these people are like, okay, you want to play that game? We can play that game too. So I do like that aspect, but we're gonna see if people really, if the the liberals, the progressives, the Democrats, if they really want for people to fight, because the Democrats throughout the country, certain states are putting up the fight that people have been asking for.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think independents are going to be swayed too because of the current climate that we're dealing with. Bro, it's a great segue into the next piece.
Yes, the whole spotlight, and
yes, sir.
yeah, it's kind of, you know, you're going to talk about a House Democrat that announced the articles of impeachment on Mr. Hegseth there. Rodney, take it away, brother.
Yes, sir, bro. Yeah, you're gonna back me up on this one, bro. This is right down your lane, man. It's right down your lane.
That's what we do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, listen, man. Melanated Admiral Alvin Halsey upheld his oath by speaking up on what he saw as illegal orders killing those boatsmen and in the sea off of Venezuela. I understand that he was forced to retire, that there was some very heated discussions for some time before he actually retired. But this goes to the heart of I think, a very important issue, and that the public needs to be hearing about it. But I wanted to preface it with Brother Admiral Alvin Halsey holding up his oath of office, and that he was a brother that stood up to the powers that be and wouldn't continue along that path. Well, it's definitely hit the floor. The S has hit the fan. As you said, Representative Sri Fanadera of Michigan, Democrat of Michigan, House of Representatives, announced Thursday he will file articles of impeachment against Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who is at the center of 2 scandals by the Defense Department. The representative said, quote, "This secretary has to go." He said this on Fox News to host Josh Breslow. Quote, "He's incompetent. He's, violated. He has committed war crimes. He must go," end quote. But Rodney, I'm a little confused about the war crimes issue, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because Congress has the power to declare war. We have not declared war as a country against Venezuela.
No, sir.
So these are extrajudicial murders. Let's be clear. These are not war crimes per se. But that's the basis that they're going on. And also the Signal Gate issue. The encrypted messages in the app Signal with other administration officials to discuss a pending strike on the Houthi targets in Yemen. Remember that? Back in September, I think it was. As a reason to oust the defense chief. A report from the Pentagon's Inspector General released publicly on Thursday found that Hegseth put the lives of U.S. soldiers at risk and violated department policy through the use of the app. I understand the Atlantic's newspaper, The Atlantic's editor, Jeffrey Goldberg, was included in the Signal chat, along with Hegseth, Vice President Vance, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. The Office of Inspector General argued in this report that if detailed strike plans were intercepted, the lives of U.S. troops would have been in danger. Was that incompetence? How could you do something like that, right? I don't understand. But he did. So those are the 2 basic reasons why impeachment articles are being brought forth regarding this. The Michigan Democrat also cited reporting that Hegseth ordered military leaders to kill everybody in a September 2nd strike on an alleged drug smuggling boat in the Caribbean. The commanding officer, Admiral Frank Bradley, carried out the second strike in compliance with the secretary's order, even after 2 people were seen clinging to the boat's wreckage. This admiral is replacing Admiral Alvin Halsey, who retired instead of conducting these exercises. Fanadar, the congressman, said both controversies show the need for accountability from both parties, using a discharge petition to force a vote on a bill to release all of the files in convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's case as an example of bipartisan support. So they've done it recently. President Trump later signed that legislation into law. Quote, "If Republicans are willing to look at this for the merit of this case and not just their loyalty to President Trump, this can be done," the Michigan Democrat said. Quote, "Republicans need to look at this as laws that have been broken, war crimes have been committed, and Hexeth, the secretary, is refusing to show up, end quote. So, Rodney, man, you got to help me with this.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to figure out, again, why are we in Venezuela anyway? When most of the drugs that they're talking about, fentanyl, doesn't come from Venezuela. And the former president of, I believe it was Colombia, was convicted in this country of bringing 400 tons of drugs, and yet our president pardoned him. So how can you be talking about fighting drugs and you're pardoning one of the biggest drug dealers that did not come from Venezuela? I'm confused. So what's the motive in going into Venezuela, Rodney? What do you see?
Well, Rodney, unless black gold Texas tea, better known as oil.
Oh, you didn't go there.
Look, here's the thing: if oil can be used some kind of way as a drug, and I'm sure it can. People on drugs will find any way they'll find a way to use anything for drugs. I don't know. So unless they're going to classify some kind of way that that black gold, that Texas tea called, better known as oil, is a drug, then we have no business in Venezuela. Rodney, I've seen a couple of side by side comparisons of the propaganda leading up to Iraq. Back in the early 2000s. I don't know if you saw that yet, but
no, I haven't.
The language that was used to talk about, Saddam Hussein and now I can't call the brother's name, the president of Venezuela. And it's just propaganda. I say that a lot on this platform, is that most of that mainstream media stuff, the news, is just straight propaganda. And but look, let's not forget, Rodney, that this regime, this administration has now gotten rid of 2 black 4-star generals.
Thank you. Now you're getting to the meat of the matter. Okay.
Exactly. 2. Let's not forget that. They want us to forget that. They loading up. They want us to concentrate on the last black thing that they did, like this week, they or the past few days here, at the end of last week rather, they did the whole thing. Trump did the whole thing with Dr. King, birthday, and you can't, get into the passes free at the state, the national parks, the federal, the national parks and everything.
National parks, right.
And so,
and Juneteenth. Took away Juneteenth, and it took away Juneteenth,
and Juneteenth as well. You can't get in there on those dates as well. And so, they want us to concentrate on those last black things, but let's not forget 2 4-star black, black general and now an admiral, 4-star, basically 4 stars, officers have been relieved or gotten rid of or made to retire. From this administration. Let's not forget that. But Rodney, I also want to concentrate on this, is that I don't know if I'm interested to see how the commander-in-chief going to weasel his way out of this. Even if they go after Pete Hegseth, okay, great. He is the Secretary of Defense. But one thing that we learn from day one in the military, especially once you become, not maybe from day one in the military, but definitely once you become a leader in the military, okay, one of the first things you learn is that you can delegate authority, but you cannot delegate responsibility. Absolutely, we learn that immediately upon putting on leadership rank in the military. You can delegate authority, but not responsibility. How in the world is the commander-in-chief going to delegate delegate his responsibility?
Right.
You give him the authority all you want. The buck stops there. And also with Pete Hegseth, one of the things he said is that, he gave the order to bomb the boat, the first order, and then the second, when the second order, not the second order, when the second bomb went out, like you said, for those people who were hanging on for dear life, keep from drowning, and then the second bomb, Pete Hegseth said, well, he had to go somewhere else. He had some other meeting important. Let me ask you this, Rodney. I know you're not a military guy, but I know you're a very smart, strategic thinking person.
You, bro.
How in the world if you just bombed some civilians, what in the world is so important that you need to get up, leave, and not do and not conduct what we in the military, again, as leaders, know that we do after every single operation, which is an immediate after actions report or after actions review.
You see it through.
Yes, you see it through. So it's like, okay, well, we bombed them. They're dead. I'm going to leave. What is so important that you left?
Happy hour.
Well, yeah, that could be. That could be. So, but you know what I'm saying, Rodney? It's just ugly, man. It's just dereliction of duty. It's just all kinds of things. It's not taking responsibility. You're delegating authority. You're delegating responsibility. It's just so many things that is going on for that. So those are the things, Rodney, that I just want for the public to understand that. And look, he's also an ex-military guy. Okay. So
that's correct.
So he knows about delegating authority, not responsibility. He knows about, after action reports and after action reviews. He knows about all this stuff, and he knows about the climate that you set. You are responsible for that climate that you set in the military, period. And it starts, like you said, at the very, very top. And so these people are doing all kinds of things that they thinking that they can get away with. And no one but the commander-in-chief has created that climate in the higher the higher order of the military, the higher ranks of the military, to be able to feel comfortable carrying out orders without civilians giving you the order or the person over you giving you the order. And so it's just a wild mess, Rodney.
And then the other issue, Rodney, I'm not a boatsman, but I did some homework, and from what I understand, those boats couldn't have made it to the U.S. shores. They were too small. They were fishing boats. They would have never made it to the U.S. shores. So, that's what the Coast Guard's for, isn't it? For interdiction,
That's what the Coast Guard is for.
You arrest them, you search, you provide the evidence to the court, and then they get tried. This is extrajudicial and not in our jurisdiction.
And if you're secure, absolutely. And that's why I talked about in the last podcast, or one of the last podcasts, is that's why the Coast Guard in peacetime falls under the Department of Homeland Security.
Correct.
Since when do securing the homeland gives people on a boat, even if they have drugs, even if they have just kilos and kilos of drugs, in the world has that become a death sentence on the water? That, okay, you have drugs, you're trying to bring them to the United States, I'm going to kill you. Just think about how stupid that sounds.
But there's no evidence. It's
absolutely, it's just stupid. Evidence. It's just absolutely stupid to say I'm going to kill people, for attempting to bring drugs into the United States. You would see the Coast Guard confiscate those drugs, bring those people to, to trial, and they violate international laws and all that. That's why we have international laws.
Correct.
For that reason. And we supposed to be a part of that international laws, and we have said, the United States, that we participate in the Hague, we participate in the Geneva Conventions and all of this stuff. Correct. But you have the Navy out here doing stuff that the Coast Guard should be doing under the direction of the Department of Homeland Security. So it's just a mess.
Good point. Yeah, I figured it was kind of out of their bailiwick, man. I appreciate that. Well, absolutely. I'm going to close this on a statement from the president that he made in Michigan, celebrating the first 100 days back in office. He called the congressman, quote, a lunatic, end quote. Quote, what the hell did I do? End quote. Trump asked the audience, quote, here we go again, end quote. So if this is a distraction from what we don't know what's going on, but I got to agree with you, Rodney. I think it has a lot more to do with that, because the other country that we recently heard that the government was thinking about invading and attacking is Nigeria. Now, yes, Nigeria and Venezuela have a tremendous amount of reserves in petroleum. So I think your point is right on. This is bigger than what we think it is. It's not about drugs coming into our community. And if it was, you would not give a pardon to a drug dealer who was convicted of bringing 400 tons of narcotics into our country. And I rest my case, Your Honor.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. And
impeach.
I can't wait until the midterms to see if, once again, people are going to vote their skin color versus, to use the words of Rodney Adams, or vote for their sons and daughters. Because if you believe that, like, if you have any kind of belief that what these two countries have in common, like you said, Rodney, Nigeria and Venezuela, then the oil reserves. Well, I tell you what, I fought in 2 wars that oil was the primary export of those countries, and I survived, barely survived those wars. So if you want for your daughters and sons to be a part of that, then you might want to talk to veterans like myself, combat veterans like myself, to tell you might want to stop voting. You might want to start voting the interests of yourself and the interests of your family.
Yeah.
Because you can't complain about it later.
No,
you cannot complain about it later. So that's my little 2 cents on that, Rodney.
It, man.
And absolutely. So yeah, and I appreciate you, man, for bringing those 2 things together, bringing them home. And I'm just hoping, man, that people really pull their head out of their, as we say, I was a paratrooper in the military, and when we hit the ground, your 4th point of contact is your buttocks. And so we say in the military all the time around the paratrooper circles is that I wish they'll pull their head out of their 4th point of contact. So
I love it.
Yeah, yes, so sir. That's what I'm hoping that happens. Absolutely, Rodney. But look, great show today, man. Great episode. And
yes, sir.
Well, that's always with you, brother. So yeah.
It's a pleasure, man. I'm very happy to be on Black Man's Roundtable, and I think we're providing a really good service to our community and to the community at large. So you can catch the Roundup with Rodney and Rodney on the 2nd Thursday of every month at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Check out the Black Man's Roundtable on YouTube for previous shows, and you can catch us on Spotify or wherever else you get your podcasts. Until then, we'll keep rounding them up. Have a good one, Rodney.
Peace, Rodney.
Happy holidays, man. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, brother. Hey, family. If you like what you saw, visit our website at blackmansroundtable.com for more information or to check out more content. Until next time, we'll see you in them suites and them streets. Peace.